The ancients knew a truth that time has tried to bury. Sleep is not a mere pause, it is a portal. Beneath the hush of night lies a temple unseen, a sacred chamber where the soul returns to the source. In the quiet stillness of slumber, a divine alchemy unfolds, one that has sustained the heartbeat of creation since the stars first sang. You were taught to see sleep as idleness, as the end of a day's work. But the mystics knew better. They whispered of the hours after twilight as holy ground, a realm between worlds where the veil thins and the infinite draws near. Each night as your body yields to rest, your spirit steps beyond the boundaries of form into a cosmic rhythm far older than time. The universe moves in sacred cycles, ebb and flow, light and shadow, inhale and exhale. Your sleep is woven into this divine pulse, not as interruption, but as invitation. To sleep with awareness is to align your breath with the breath of the divine. When you surrender to the mystery of night, you do not fall into unconsciousness. You rise into remembrance. You join the lineage of seers and sages who understood that the greatest transformations are born in stillness. Darkness does not conceal, it reveals. It does not end, it begins. For in those silent hours, the great intelligence reshapes your thoughts, heals what is frayed, and plants new truths in the fertile soil of your soul. Dreams become sacred scrolls, each one a symbol-laced message from the infinite. As you walk this path, the sleep formula will guide you to reclaim sleep as your most sacred ritual, no longer a passive escape, but a nightly homecoming to the divine force that sustains, restores, and reawakens you. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1, Awakening to the Power of Rest. Chapter 1, The Call of Night. As twilight descends, a sacred silence begins to settle over the world. In ages past, this transition from day to night was honored as more than a mere changing of light. It was recognized as a spiritual signal, nature's own call to contemplation and inner peace. In a mountain village long ago, there lived a merchant named Henry, who fought against the night's embrace. Each evening, as shadows lengthened across the land, he would light extra candles, determined to extend his working hours. While others in the village heeded dusk's gentle summons to rest, Henry persisted, believing that success lay in defying nature's rhythm. One evening, exhausted from his labors, Henry encountered an old woman gathering herbs in the fading light. "Why do you resist what the universe freely gives?" she asked, noting his weary countenance. "Each sunset is a gift, a reminder that even the sun must rest." She shared with him her simple wisdom, that night falls not to halt our progress, but to restore our spirits. Slowly, Henry began to observe how all of creation responded to nightfall. He noticed how flowers folded their petals, how birds returned to their nests, how even the busy stream seemed to quiet its rushing. Nature itself was showing him the way to surrender. In the valley below his village lived a shepherd who had lost his entire flock to wolves. Yet each evening, as darkness draped the hills, the shepherd would sit peacefully at his door, welcoming the night like an old friend. His acceptance touched something deep within Henry's heart. If this man, who had lost so much could embrace the night's peace. Perhaps there was wisdom in surrender rather than resistance. Night, Henry realized, drew no distinction between those who had succeeded or failed during the day. Its gentle darkness fell equally on all, offering everyone the same chance for renewal. This universal embrace helped Henry understand that rest was not a reward to be earned, but a sacred gift freely given. The night calls to you now as it called to Henry then. Its darkness is not an ending, but a beginning, a gateway to restoration that has been offered since the first evening star appeared in the sky. Sacred evening practice. As night approaches, find a quiet place to sit. Watch as natural light fades from your surroundings. Allow your breath to slow, matching the peaceful rhythm of approaching darkness. Whisper softly, "I welcome the night as a sacred friend, bringing the gift of rest to my body and peace to my spirit." Sit in silence for several minutes, feeling the gentle weight of darkness settling around you like a protective cloak. Let this moment become your daily ritual of surrender to the night's ancient wisdom. Chapter 2. The Forgotten Art of Surrender. In the quiet depths of night lies a truth that has guided mystics and sages through the ages. True rest comes not through force, but through surrender. The universe whispers this wisdom in the soft rustle of evening winds and the gentle descent of darkness, yet in these modern times, many have forgotten how to listen. In a bustling city, Evelyn spent her nights locked in battle with sleep. A respected healer, she ironically could not heal her own restlessness. Each evening, she would prepare for rest with military precision, specific times, routines, and methods. Yet sleep remained elusive, slipping away like water through tightly clenched fingers. One evening, while walking in her garden, she witnessed a flower closing its petals for the night. No struggle, no resistance, just a natural yielding to the darkness. This simple observation stirred something deep within her soul. The flower did not question whether it would open again at dawn. It simply trusted in the eternal rhythm of nature. Evelyn began to understand that her rigid attempts to control sleep were the very barriers keeping her from rest. Night after night, she practiced the art of surrender, allowing herself to be carried by the current of darkness rather than swimming against it. In a distant village lived a woman named Maya, whose mind was constantly filled with worries about her children, her work, and her future. Each night, these concerns would parade through her thoughts like restless spirits. Yet one evening, as she sat beneath the stars, she felt their vast presence above her and realized she was held in something far greater than her fears. The same force that guided the celestial bodies in their eternal dance was watching over her, too. In that moment, her worries dissolved into the infinite embrace of the night. These stories mirror your own journey with sleep. Like Evelyn and Maya, you may have forgotten that rest is not something to be conquered, but a gift to be received. The night does not demand that you prove yourself worthy of slumber. It simply invites you to lay down your burdens and trust in its ancient wisdom. Evening Release Ritual. As darkness approaches, light a single candle. Hold a small stone or crystal in your palm, allowing it to absorb one worry or concern that weighs upon your spirit. Speak these words with quiet conviction. I release my need for control. I surrender to the wisdom of the night. As I lay down this burden, I open myself to divine rest. Place the stone by your bedside, symbolizing your trust in the universe to hold your concerns while you sleep. Let the gentle flicker of the candle remind you that even in darkness, you are never truly alone. Chapter 3, The Universe as Your Blanket. Long ago, in a quiet valley, Walter spent his nights pacing restlessly through his home. Though his body yearned for sleep, his spirit remained vigilant, as if rest itself posed some unseen danger. Each shadow seemed to hold a threat, each silence a hidden warning. The stars above watched patiently as he wrestled with his fears night after night. Until one evening, exhausted beyond measure, Walter ventured into his garden. As he gazed upward, the vast expanse of the night sky stretched before him like an infinite canopy. In that moment, a profound truth stirred within his heart. The same force that held the stars in their celestial dance was holding him, had always been holding him. The universe does not sleep, for it is the eternal guardian of all creation. As you close your eyes each night, you rest within its watchful presence. Just as a child sleeps peacefully in their parents' arms, you're cradled in the infinite awareness of the divine. In a distant mountain monastery, a young monk named Ravi struggled with similar fears. Each evening, as his brothers easily drifted into peaceful slumber, he remained awake, clutching his prayer beads. One night, his master shared a simple truth. The same power that keeps the mountains standing watches over you in sleep. You need not hold yourself up. You are already held. These ancient teachings speak directly to your heart. When you lay down to rest, you are not entering a void, but returning to the loving embrace of the universe itself. Your sleep is protected by forces far greater than any earthly concern. Just as the ocean holds every wave, the divine mind holds every soul that surrenders to sleep. The universe's blanket visualization. Lie comfortably in your bed and close your eyes. Imagine the vast cosmos spreading above you like a magnificent blanket of stars. With each breath, feel this celestial covering drawing closer, wrapping you in its gentle warmth. The light of countless stars flows through this cosmic blanket, filling you with peace. As you sink deeper into this embrace, know that you are held completely, perfectly, eternally. The universe itself watches over your rest, just as it has watched over all beings since the dawn of time. Allow yourself to be enveloped in this divine protection as you drift into sleep. Chapter 4, Stillness as Sacred Ground. In a bustling town lived Mabel, a woman whose mind churned like a river in flood. Each night, thoughts crashed against the shores of her consciousness, leaving her tossing and turning as peace remained ever out of reach. Though her body lay in bed, her spirit knew no rest, caught in the whirlpool of endless thinking. One evening, as Mabel sat in her garden watching the sun sink below the horizon, she noticed how the flowers remained perfectly still in the dying light. No matter how the wind stirred the leaves above, these blooms held their place with quiet dignity. In their presence, something within her began to settle, like sediment falling to the bottom of a clear pool. When you enter the realm of stillness, you step into the sacred space where the universe speaks in whispers. This is not an empty silence, but rather the rich fullness from which all creation springs. Just as a lake must be still to reflect the stars, your mind must find quietude to mirror the wisdom of the divine. In a distant village, a young woman named Lynn spent her days gathering herbs in the mountains. Though she lived simply, her thoughts raced constantly about what she lacked. One day, she discovered an ancient stone basin filled with perfectly still water. As she gazed into its depths, she saw not just her reflection, but the entire sky above. In that moment, she understood that stillness reveals the infinite within the finite. These timeless teachings reveal that stillness is your natural state, though the world may have led you to forget this truth. When you release the grip of constant motion, you rediscover the peace that has always dwelled within you. Like Mabel in her garden, you too can find that sacred ground where thoughts settle and spirit rises. The evening breath of stillness. As you prepare for sleep, sit comfortably on your bed. Place your hands gently in your lap, palms facing upward. Begin by taking 3 slow breaths, each one deeper than the last. Now, with each inhale, silently say to yourself, "I welcome the stillness." With each exhale, feel your body settling more deeply into quiet. Continue this rhythm for 7 breaths, allowing each cycle to carry you further into tranquility. If thoughts arise, simply observe them floating past like clouds in a vast sky. Let your breath become so soft that it barely stirs the air around you. In this gentle quietude, feel yourself becoming like that ancient stone basin, perfectly still, reflecting the infinite above. This is your true nature, pure, peaceful, and complete. Chapter 5, The Rhythm of Breath. Long ago, in a village among misty mountains, lived Clara, a woman whose nights were haunted by endless thoughts. Though her body yearned for rest, her mind raced like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. Each evening brought fresh worries that scattered her attention like seeds in the wind. One night, as Clara sat by her window, watching the moon rise, she noticed how the night flowers opened and closed with a gentle rhythm. In their silent dance, she recognized something ancient and true, the sacred pattern of breath that moves through all living things. The breath is your constant companion, flowing through each moment like an underground river that never runs dry. It carries within its tide the wisdom of countless generations who found their way to peace through its gentle guidance. When you align with this rhythm, you tap into a power older than thought itself. In a distant mountain temple, a merchant named Rashi sought refuge from his troubled mind. The temple keeper shared no words of wisdom, but simply sat with him in silence. As the hours passed, Rashi found his breath naturally falling into step with the keeper's steady rhythm. In that synchronicity, his fears dissolved like morning mist in sunlight. These ancient teachings whisper a truth your body has always known. The breath is both anchor and wings, grounding you in the present while lifting your spirit to higher realms. It is the bridge between the seen and unseen, the known and the mysterious. Like Clara watching the night flowers, you too can discover this sacred rhythm within yourself. The breath of 7 stars. As you lie in your bed, allow your body to settle naturally. Feel the weight of your form pressing gently into the mattress. Begin by observing your breath without trying to change it. Notice how it moves like waves on a shore, in and out, rising and falling. Now, as you breathe in, count silently. 1. As you breathe out, 1, Breathe in. 2. Breathe out. 2. Continue this pattern up to 7, then begin again at 1. If thoughts arise, simply return to counting. Let each number be like a star appearing in the night sky, bright and clear. If you lose count, gently begin again at 1. With each cycle, feel yourself sinking deeper into tranquility. Let your breath become softer, quieter, until it moves through you like a whisper. Continue until sleep embraces you naturally, knowing that this ancient rhythm carries you safely into the realm of dreams. Chapter 6: The Great Release. In a bustling marketplace, Harold carried his worries like heavy stones in a sack, collecting more with each passing hour. His shoulders bent under the weight of unfinished tasks, spoken words he wished to take back, and fears about tomorrow. Each night he would bring these burdens to his bed, wondering why sleep remained elusive. When you hold tight to the day's troubles, you deny yourself the sacred gift of renewal that night offers. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, designed darkness as a daily chance to begin anew. Just as trees release their leaves in autumn without resistance, you too are meant to let go of all that weighs upon your spirit as twilight approaches. Harold's transformation began when he met an old woman tending her garden at sunset. Each evening, she would gather the wilted flowers and cast them into her compost pile, saying, "What has served its purpose must return to the earth." Watching her peaceful ritual, Harold realized he had been carrying yesterday's burdens into each new day, never allowing them to decompose and nourish new growth. The great mind offers you this same wisdom. Nothing from today needs to follow you into sleep. Your worries, like the wilted flowers, can be returned to the fertile soil of the universe, where they transform into the compost of wisdom. A merchant named Kai once lost his entire fortune in a single day. That night, as he prepared for bed, his aged mother shared an ancient teaching. The night is a gentle ocean that washes all shores clean. Following her guidance, Kai surrendered his grief to the darkness. When morning came, though his circumstances remained unchanged, his heart felt lighter, ready to begin again. These stories mirror your own journey. Each sunset marks a boundary, a sacred line between carrying and releasing. When you choose to lay down your burdens at night, you honor the natural order of things. You demonstrate trust in the universe's ability to hold what you cannot. The Evening Release Ritual. As darkness falls, take a clean sheet of paper and a pen. At the top write, "I now release into the care of the universe." List everything that has weighed on your mind today. Every worry, regret, fear, or unfinished task. Write until you feel complete. Then speak these words, "Great Mind, I entrust these matters to your infinite wisdom. As I rest, transform them according to your perfect understanding." Fold the paper and place it in a special box or drawer, your sanctuary of surrender. Let this physical act represent your spirit's release. Now walk to your bed unburdened, knowing the universe continues its work while you rest in peace. Chapter 7: Sanctuary Within. Long ago, in a village by the sea, lived a woman named Lillian who could never find rest. Though her home was comfortable and her life blessed with good fortune, peace eluded her. Night after night, she tossed upon her bed while thoughts crashed like waves against the shore of her mind. One evening, as she walked along the beach at sunset, she encountered an elderly fisherman mending his nets. "I see you walking here often," he said, "always searching outward. But have you looked within?" He shared with him an ancient truth that inside every soul exists a sacred chamber, untouched by the world's chaos. This inner sanctuary waits patiently, ready to welcome you home each night. You too possess this sacred space within. It is not a place you must create, but one you must remember. Like a pearl hidden in an oyster, this sanctuary lies at your center, gleaming with quiet radiance. In time, Lillian learned to turn inward each night, discovering a room of golden light within her heart. There, the noise of the world grew dim, and peace flowed like honey through her being. She found that no matter what storms raged outside, this inner chamber remained serene and unchanging. In a distant mountain village lived a shepherd named Thomas, who tended his flock through bitter winters. When bitter winds howled and snow buried the paths, he would sit in his humble hut and journey to the warm sanctuary within his heart. There, neither cold nor fear could touch him. In this space, he found the strength to weather any storm. This teaching speaks directly to your own journey. The sanctuary within you is not imagined. It is more real than the physical walls that surround you. When you learn to rest there, you tap into a wellspring of peace that has existed since the beginning of time. The inner sanctuary practice. As you lie in bed, close your eyes and breathe deeply. Imagine a door of light appearing before you. This is the entrance to your inner sanctuary. With each breath, feel yourself moving closer to this doorway. As you pass through, you enter a space of perfect peace. Notice the qualities of this sacred chamber. Perhaps it glows with soft golden light, or sparkles like stars in a night sky. Feel the atmosphere of complete safety and acceptance that surrounds you. Allow yourself to fully arrive in this space. Here, all doing ceases, all striving falls away. You have returned to your true home, where peace is not something you create, but simply remember. Rest here, knowing you can return to this sanctuary whenever you need. Let these final moments before sleep be a gentle settling into your inner sanctuary, where the universe's peace becomes your peace, and rest flows naturally, like a river returning to the sea. Chapter 8. Trusting the Night. In the shadows of a great forest lived a woodcutter named Frank who trembled at nightfall. Each evening, as the sun slipped behind ancient trees, his heart would race with nameless fears. The darkness seemed to him a vast unknown, filled with dangers unseen. One night, exhausted from his labors, yet unable to rest, Frank wandered deeper into the forest than he had ever ventured. There, in a moonlit clearing, he encountered an old woman gathering herbs by starlight. Her movements were peaceful, her face serene as she worked in the gentle dark. "Why do you welcome the night so freely?" Frank asked. The wise woman smiled. "Night is the universe's promise kept. Each evening, it draws a velvet curtain across the world so our spirits may rest and heal. The darkness is not empty. It is filled with the breath of the divine." The truth of these words lies before you now. Night arrives not as an adversary, but as a faithful guardian of your peace. It comes bearing gifts, the silence needed for inner wisdom to speak, the darkness required for your inner light to shine brightest. In a distant valley, a young shepherd named Ravi spent his nights watching over his flock. At first, the darkness pressed heavy upon his shoulders. But as seasons passed, He began to notice how the night wrapped each sheep in equal care, and how it brought the same cool comfort to every creature. The stars became his companions, their ancient light a reminder that he was never truly alone. Gradually, Ravi discovered that night held no malice, only mercy. It offered the same gentle covering to all, the mighty oak and the smallest flower, the strongest wolf and the most tender lamb. In this revelation is fear transformed into gratitude. This wisdom beckons to you. Night is not your enemy, but your most constant friend. It arrives without fail, offering the same gifts it has given since time began: rest for the weary, peace for the troubled, renewal for all who surrender to its embrace. The night's blessing practice, and as darkness gathers, light a single candle. In its warm glow, speak these words of gratitude. I thank you, sacred night, for your faithful return. I thank you for the rest you bring, and I thank you for the healing darkness. I thank you for watching over my sleep. Let your heart fill with appreciation for night's unchanging promise. Feel the relief of knowing that, like countless souls before you, you can trust in this ancient rhythm. Night has never failed to yield to dawn, and dawn has never failed to yield to night. In this perfect cycle, you are held in infinite care. Chapter 9, Invitation to Dream. In ancient times, a weaver named Edith created beautiful tapestries by day, but at night her sleep was haunted by dark visions that left her trembling. She began to fear closing her eyes, dreading what images might appear in the depths of her dreams. Dreams speak in the language of symbols and metaphors, a sacred tongue that your soul has never forgotten. When you surrender to sleep, you step into a realm where the universe communicates through images, emotions, and experiences that transcend ordinary understanding. Each night, as you cross the threshold between waking and sleeping, you enter this sacred territory where wisdom flows freely. Your dreams are not random creations of a tired mind, but messages carried on the wings of divine inspiration. They arrive as teachers, healers, and guides, offering insights that your conscious mind might otherwise miss. In a distant mountain village lived a young healer named Maya, who gathered herbs at dawn. Each morning, she would wake with fragments of dreams, showing her where to find the plants needed most. At first, she dismissed these visions as mere fancy. But as she learned to trust them, following their guidance led her to rare medicines that saved many lives. Maya discovered that dreams were not mere shadows of day, but windows into deeper truth. They revealed what her waking eyes could not see, teaching her to trust the wisdom that flows through night's dark waters. Your dreams arrive as messengers from the depths of your spirit. They carry healing, guidance, and transformation in their mysterious embrace. When you welcome them with an open heart, they become bridges between your ordinary awareness and the infinite wisdom of the universe. The Dream Keeper's practice: keep these items by your bedside, a journal with blank chapters and a pen that flows easily, and a small light. Before sleep, whisper softly, I welcome the wisdom of my dreams. I am ready to receive their messages. I will remember what they show me. Upon waking, before moving from your place of rest, write everything you recall from your dreams. Do not judge or interpret. Simply record the images, feelings, and impressions that remain. Date each entry, noting any patterns that emerge over time. Let your dream journal become a sacred text filled with the nightly messages your soul sends to guide your path. In time, you will learn to read this personal language of symbols, understanding more deeply the wisdom that visits while you sleep. Chapter 10: The Portal of Sleep. Through the ages, the wisest teachers have known that sleep is not merely rest, but a sacred doorway through which the soul travels each night. This threshold exists between the visible world of form and the invisible realm of pure spirit, where the deepest transformations unfold in silence. In a bustling market town lived a merchant named Albert, who carried his ledgers and worries to bed each night. His mind raced with calculations and concerns, preventing him from crossing sleep's threshold peacefully. Though his body lay still, his spirit remained tethered to the day's affairs, unable to release its grip on earthly matters. One evening, an old mystic observed Albert's troubled countenance and shared an ancient truth. Sleep is not an ending, but a gateway. When you approach it carrying yesterday's burdens, you cannot pass through. The portal accepts only those who come empty-handed, trusting in the wisdom of the night. The universe holds sacred spaces where healing occurs beyond our sight. Sleep is such a sanctuary, a temple where your spirit is renewed while your conscious mind rests. When you approach this gateway with reverence, understanding it as a passage to restoration, you allow its magic to work through you. Albert's transformation began when he started treating his bedroom as a holy space and his nightly rest as a sacred journey. He learned to leave his worries at the threshold, knowing they would be transformed by morning's light. Each evening became a ritual of release, a conscious crossing into the realm of pure potential. In a distant valley lived a shepherd who discovered this same truth while tending his flock. He noticed how sheep naturally surrendered to rest, accepting night's embrace without resistance. Through their example, he learned that sleep was not a void to fear, but a gateway to renewal. Each dawn, his spirit emerged refreshed, carrying the peace of that sacred passage into his day. When you understand sleep as a portal rather than an ending, you approach it differently. You begin to see your bedroom as the threshold to a temple, your pillow as an altar where you lay down your daily concerns. This is not mere rest, but a nightly pilgrimage to the source of healing and wisdom. The portal passage practice. As you prepare for sleep, stand at your bedside and speak these words with quiet intention. I stand before the sacred gateway of night, releasing all that weighs upon my spirit. I enter this portal with trust and gratitude, knowing I will emerge renewed. May this passage bring healing. May this threshold grant peace. May this doorway lead to transformation. Then lay your hand upon your heart and name 3 blessings from your day. Let these gifts be the last thoughts you carry as you cross the threshold into sleep's sacred realm. Part 2: Deepening Rest Through Universal Wisdom. Chapter 11: The Divine Pause. In an ancient mountain village lived Martha, a weaver known for her intricate tapestries. Each day she worked tirelessly, seeing sleep as an unwelcome interruption of her craft. Her fingers moved ceaselessly across the loom even as her body yearned for rest. "Time spent sleeping is time lost," she would whisper, pushing herself through exhaustion. One night, as moonlight filtered through her window, Martha noticed how the shadows created patterns on her unfinished work. These patterns revealed new possibilities she had never seen in daylight. In that moment, she understood. The pause between her labors was as vital as the work itself. The universe moves in rhythms of activity and stillness, each as sacred as the other. Just as music requires both notes and rests to create harmony, your life flows most beautifully when you honor its natural pauses. Sleep is not an emptiness to be filled, but a holy interval where the great mind tends to your spirit. Martha began approaching her nights differently. She learned to see sleep as a divine intermission where her creative spirit was secretly renewed. Each morning she discovered her work flowed more effortlessly, as if unseen hands had smoothed the threads of her inspiration while she rested. In a distant desert oasis, a young gardener discovered this same wisdom. Each night, she watched as flowers closed their petals, participating in nature's sacred pause. The blooms did not resist this interval, but embraced it, knowing that within the stillness lay the seeds of tomorrow's beauty. Come morning, they opened again, more vibrant for having surrendered to night's tender care. This truth speaks across all ages. The universe requires moments of sacred pause to weave its magic in your life. When you resist sleep, you resist the very force that seeks to restore you. But when you welcome this nightly intermission, you align with a power greater than your own striving. Your rest is not a void, but a vessel into which the universe pours renewal. In these quiet hours, while your conscious mind grows still, a deeper wisdom works to realign your spirit with its highest purpose. Each night offers you this gift, the chance to pause and be restored by powers beyond your knowing. The evening silence ritual. Sit at the edge of your bed and close your eyes. Take 3 slow breaths, then whisper, "I enter now the sacred pause, where silence heals and peace restores. In this interval of grace, I trust the universe's embrace." Remain in silence for 3 more breaths, feeling the quiet fill you with its blessing. Then lie down, knowing that in this pause, all is being made well. Chapter 12. Melodies of Silence. In the depths of silence lies a wisdom older than words, a music that speaks directly to your soul. The quiet of night is not an empty void, but a living presence, rich with the subtle harmonies of existence itself. Within this sacred stillness, you will discover the heartbeat of the universe, pulsing with a rhythm that has guided seekers since time immemorial. Howard, a musician in a bustling city, once filled every moment with sound. His apartment hummed constantly with radios, televisions, and the endless chatter of devices. Silence made him uneasy, for in it he feared he would face his own thoughts. Yet one evening, when a power outage plunged his neighborhood into darkness, he experienced something remarkable. In the sudden quiet, he began to hear what he had been drowning out, the gentle whisper of wind, the distant song of crickets, and beneath it all, a profound peace that seemed to rise from the earth itself. Night after night, Howard gradually turned off his devices earlier, allowing silence to enter as a welcome guest. He discovered that within the quiet lay melodies more beautiful than any he had composed. The rhythm of his own breath, the subtle symphony of his heartbeat, the mysterious music of thoughts settling like leaves on still water. In a distant monastery, a young monk once struggled with the pre-dawn silence of meditation. Each morning, he would sit in the temple, fighting against the quiet, until an elder shared a secret. "Silence," the elder said, "is not the absence of sound, but the presence of everything. The monk learned to sink into silence as one sinks into warm water, letting it support and nurture his spirit. Soon, the quiet moments became his most treasured, each silence a song of peace. This ancient truth now calls to you. Within silence lies a music that can heal your soul. When you embrace the quiet of night, you align with the very rhythm of creation. Like Howard, you may discover that what you once feared becomes your greatest comfort, a nightly refuge where your spirit remembers its connection to the infinite. The mindful listening practice. As you prepare for sleep, sit comfortably and close your eyes. For 7 breaths, simply listen to the silence around you. Notice how it feels more like a presence than an absence. Let your awareness expand to include the subtle sounds that emerge from the quiet, the distant whispers of the night, the gentle rhythm of your breath, the soft song of peace that rises when all else grows still. This is the music of the universe, singing you to rest. Chapter 13, The Sacred Reset. Each sunset marks not an ending, but a divine invitation to begin anew. As night approaches, the universe offers you its most precious gift, the chance to wash your spirit clean in the waters of sacred rest. This eternal cycle of renewal flows through all of creation, as natural as the tide's gentle cleansing of the shore. Ruth, a village healer, carried the weight of others' sorrows in her heart. Each day, she listened to tales of pain and struggle, absorbing the heavy energies of those who sought her wisdom. Though she helped many find peace, her own spirit grew weary under this burden. One evening, watching the sun sink below the horizon, she witnessed how nature itself embraced the night's cleansing power. As darkness fell, flowers closed their petals, birds returned to their nests, and the world prepared for renewal. In that moment, she understood. Night was not just for rest, but for release and rebirth. She began treating each nightfall as a sacred ceremony of letting go, allowing sleep to wash away the day's accumulated weight. With each evening's surrender, she found herself restored, ready to serve again, with a lightened heart. In a distant mountain village lived an old potter who shaped clay into beautiful vessels. One day, his apprentice lamented over a misshapen bowl, seeing it as a failure. The potter smiled and shared his wisdom. Each night I leave my work unfinished, knowing tomorrow brings fresh eyes and steady hands. The clay teaches us. Sometimes we must let go and begin again. That evening, the apprentice noticed how the potter cleaned his hands, blessed his workspace, and walked away without regret or attachment. When dawn arrived, both potter and clay were renewed, ready for creation's dance to begin again. This wisdom speaks directly to your own journey. Each night offers you the potter's gift, the chance to wash your hands clean of yesterday's attempts, to bless what is past, and to prepare your spirit for tomorrow's fresh clay. Like Ruth, you need not carry forward the weight of what has been. The night exists as a divine reset, a sacred pause where all things return to their pure potential. The forgiveness mantra practice. As you lay down to rest, place one hand on your heart and whisper these ancient words 3 times. I release what is past, I forgive what needs healing, and I welcome the night's renewal. I trust tomorrow's beginning. Let each breath between these words carry away what no longer serves you, making space for the fresh energy of dawn. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14, Rituals of the Ancients. Through the mists of time, those who walked before us understood a truth often forgotten, that night is a sacred temple, where the soul communes with eternal mysteries. The ancients knew that sleep was not merely rest, but a ritual of returning to Source, a daily pilgrimage to wisdom's well. Clarence, a merchant who traveled distant lands, found himself unable to rest despite his wealth. His nights were as barren as a desert, until he met an elder in a remote village who shared with him a simple, yet powerful, evening practice. Each night the elder would light a single candle and name 3 blessings from the day, letting each one rise like incense to the stars. At first, Clarence dismissed this as mere superstition, but witnessing the elder's peaceful countenance, he decided to try. Night after night, Clarence lit his candle and spoke his gratitudes into the gentle flame. Slowly, his restless mind began to quiet, and sleep embraced him like a long-lost friend. The simple act of acknowledging life's gifts became his bridge to peaceful rest. In a small mountain monastery, a group of contemplatives maintained an unbroken chain of candlelight that had burned for centuries. Each evening, as shadows lengthened across stone walls, they would pass the flame from one candle to another, understanding that this simple act connected them to every seeker who had ever yearned for rest's sweet blessing. Clarence visited this monastery during his travels and watched as the monks performed their evening ritual. One elderly monk explained, "This flame carries the prayers of countless souls who sought peace before us. When we light our candle, we join their eternal circle of trust in the night's embrace." These ancient ways of welcoming night speak to the deepest parts of your being. They remind you that you are not alone in seeking rest's sanctuary. Every candle lit with intention, every grateful word spoken into the evening air, connects you to an ageless lineage of those who understood sleep's sacred nature. The candle lighting practice, as twilight approaches, place an unlit candle where you can safely watch its flame. In the darkness, light the candle while speaking these words. "I light this flame in harmony with those who sought peace before me. May its glow guide my spirit to rest. As this candle burns, so burns my trust in night's wisdom. I join the eternal circle of sacred sleep." Let the candle burn safely for a few moments as you prepare for rest. Then extinguish it with gratitude, knowing you have participated in an ancient rite of peaceful surrender. Chapter 15, The Dream Messenger. In the quiet hours before dawn, when the veil between worlds grows thin, dreams whisper their sacred messages. These nightly visions are not mere flights of fancy, but the universe's own language, speaking directly to your soul through symbols and stories that transcend ordinary understanding. Mildred, a painter who had lost her inspiration, spent her days staring at blank canvases. Her creative spirit had withered like autumn leaves, leaving her in a winter of the soul. One night, she dreamed of standing in a garden where flowers bloomed in colors she had never seen before. An ancient tree at its center bore fruits made of light. As she reached for one, it burst into a shower of rainbow drops that covered her hands in luminescent paint. Upon waking, she felt the stirring of something long dormant. The joy of creation had returned. Her brushes, dormant for so long, now danced across canvas with renewed purpose. Through the ages, dreams have served as bridges between the visible and invisible realms. In a distant mountain village lived a wise woman who taught others to listen to their dreams. When Mildred sought her guidance, the elder shared this truth. Dreams speak in the language of the heart. Their symbols are keys that unlock doors within us that we didn't know existed. That night, Mildred dreamed again. She saw herself as a small bird, afraid to leave its nest. But as she watched, the bird spread its wings and soared into a sky filled with dancing lights. The wind beneath its wings was made of music, and each note painted colors in the air. When morning came, Mildred understood. Her fear had been the only cage holding her back. These stories mirror your own journey with dreams. Each symbol that appears in your night visions carries a message meant specifically for you. The universe speaks through dreams because they bypass the logical mind and touch directly upon truth. When you open yourself to their guidance, you allow wisdom to flow naturally into your life. Dream intention setting practice. Before sleep, hold a clear crystal or white stone in your hands and speak these words. As I open my heart to the wisdom of dreams, may their messages flow clear and true. I trust in the guidance they bring and welcome their light into my soul. Place the stone beside your bed, and as you drift into sleep, know that you have created a sacred channel for dream wisdom to enter. Upon waking, let your first thoughts rest gently on any dreams that visited you, accepting their gifts with gratitude. Chapter 16. Healing in the Night. In the depths of night, when the world grows still, a sacred healing unfolds within you. The universe has gifted you with sleep as your greatest healer, a divine force that works silently to restore both body and spirit. As you surrender to slumber, ancient wisdom flows through you, mending what daylight cannot touch. Horace, a village baker, carried grief like heavy stones in his heart after losing his beloved wife. Each day he rose before dawn to work, trying to outrun his sorrow through endless activity. His nights were restless until an old physician shared a forgotten truth. Sleep is the medicine that costs nothing but heals everything. At first, Horace resisted this wisdom, but gradually, as he allowed himself to rest deeply, something shifted. Each morning he noticed his heart felt lighter, as if sleep had gently lifted some of his burden. The healing didn't erase his love or memories, but transformed his pain into peaceful acceptance. Through sacred rest, his spirit found renewal. In another village lived a weaver whose hands had grown stiff with age. She taught Horace how the body seeks harmony through sleep. "Watch how a cat sleeps," she said, completely trusting that healing will come. Following her guidance, Horace observed how his own body responded to deep rest. His lingering aches softened, his breathing deepened, and vitality returned to his steps. This wisdom belongs to you as well. When you lay down each night, you enter a sanctuary of healing. Your breath slows, your muscles release their tension, and your spirit opens to repair. The universe works through your sleep, knitting together what has been torn, soothing what has been troubled. The night's healing body scan. Lie comfortably and bring your attention to your feet. Feel them growing heavy and warm as healing energy flows into them. Move your awareness slowly upward through your body, ankles, legs, hips, back, chest, shoulders, arms, neck, and head. With each area, speak these words in your mind. Divine healing flows through me, restoring, renewing, making me whole. I trust in the night's sacred power to mend both body and soul. Let yourself drift into sleep as this healing energy continues its gentle work. Trust that the universe tends to you with infinite care while you rest. Chapter 17, The Circle of Renewal. Within the tapestry of existence flows an eternal circle, a rhythm as old as time itself. Night and day dance together in perfect harmony, each completing what the other begins. This sacred cycle carries you through darkness into light, through rest into renewal, through surrender into strength. Edgar, a humble timekeeper in a mountain village, once believed he could master time itself. He created intricate mechanisms to measure every moment, convinced that controlling time would bring him mastery over life. His obsession led him to ignore the natural flow of day and night, working endlessly until exhaustion claimed him. One evening, as he repaired an ancient clock in the village tower, he noticed how the setting sun painted the sky in gentle hues. For the first time, he saw how each color flowed into the next, creating a perfect circle of transition. In that moment, he understood time was not meant to be conquered, but embraced as a sacred dance. In a distant valley lived a wise woman who tended gardens by the phases of the moon. She shared with Edgar how plants flourished when they followed nature's rhythm. "See how they grow in darkness," she said, "and bloom in light. Each needs the other." Through her teachings, Edgar discovered that fighting against this circle only created discord, while flowing with it brought deep peace. This circle of renewal surrounds you even now. Each night cleanses what came before, while each dawn offers a fresh beginning. Your rest is not an ending, but a vital part of this sacred cycle. When you honor this pattern, you align with the universe's own breath, the eternal inhale of night and exhale of day, the sunrise blessing. As dawn approaches, stand facing east. Raise your arms slowly as the sun rises and speak these words. With the rising sun I rise renewed. Through night's sweet rest, I am made whole. In this sacred circle of day and night, I flow with life's eternal soul. Let the first light touch your face, knowing you have completed another turn in the great wheel of renewal. Trust that this ancient cycle carries you always toward growth, healing, and awakening. Chapter 18, Cosmic Rhythms. In the heart of a bustling city lived Florence, a musician who played beautiful melodies but could not find the rhythm of rest. Though her fingers danced across piano keys with grace, her nights were filled with discord as she tossed and turned, out of sync with the universe's own song. Each evening, Florence would sit at her window watching the city lights blur the stars above. Yet one night, as clouds parted to reveal the waxing moon, its gentle light caught her attention. In its soft glow, she noticed how the trees swayed in perfect time with the evening breeze, how the crickets chirped in measured beats, how even the distant waves moved in steady patterns. This realization led her to the ancient wisdom that every living thing moves to the universe's tempo. Just as her music followed time signatures, she saw that night and day created their own divine measure. She began to observe how plants turned their faces to follow the sun, how tides rose and fell with lunar phases, how birds knew exactly when to begin their morning songs. The universe whispered its secrets that rest is not a stopping of the rhythm, but a vital note in life's endless symphony. Florence learned to feel this cosmic pulse, allowing it to guide her towards sleep just as naturally as leaves fall in autumn. In a quiet mountain temple, a wise monk shared with Florence how even stones hold the memory of celestial rhythms. "Listen," he said, placing her hand on ancient rock walls. "These walls have absorbed the heartbeat of countless moons. They know when to warm in sunlight and when to cool in darkness." Through his guidance, Florence discovered that her own body carried this same timeless wisdom. You too carry this inherent knowing. Your cells remember the dance of planets, the swing of seasons, the pulse of tides. When you surrender to sleep, you join this grand orchestration. Night becomes not an interruption, but a beautiful measure in your personal symphony with the cosmos. Moon phase practice. Keep a small journal by your bedside. Each evening, note the current phase of the moon and write 3 words describing your energy. Over time, you will notice patterns emerging, how your own rhythms align with lunar cycles. Let this awareness guide you into deeper harmony with the universe's flow. As you practice, you will find yourself naturally moving toward rest when the cosmic rhythms call. Chapter 19, The Soul's Whisper. In the depths of night, when the world grows still, a sacred conversation awaits. The universe holds this space where your inner wisdom, often drowned by daylight's demands, rises like mist from quiet waters. Harriet, a merchant who filled her days with endless transactions and calculations, discovered this truth through an unexpected path. Each night, her mind raced with numbers and negotiations until exhaustion claimed her. Yet one evening, as she sat in her garden watching the stars emerge, something shifted. The gentle rustle of leaves seemed to whisper ancient secrets, and for the first time in years, she allowed herself to simply listen. As nights passed, Harriet began to notice that when she released the grip of daily concerns, another voice emerged, not the sharp tone of commerce, but the soft murmur of her soul. This voice spoke of dreams long forgotten, of paths not yet taken, of truths her heart had always known but her mind had forgotten. Through this newfound silence, she received guidance that transformed her life's direction. The whispers led her to close her shop early on certain days, to spend time teaching young merchants, to find fulfillment beyond mere profit. Her nights became sanctuaries of wisdom rather than battlegrounds of worry. In the mountains lived a shepherd who feared the approaching winter storms. Each evening his anxiety grew until sleep became elusive. Yet as he lay beneath the vast sky one night, something within him spoke with gentle assurance. This voice, clearer than any daylight thought, showed him how to lead his flock to sheltered valleys he had overlooked. The wisdom had always resided within, waiting for quiet moments to emerge. Just as Harriet and the shepherd discovered, you too possess this wellspring of inner knowing. When you allow the night to soften your thoughts, When you release the need to solve and plan, your soul's voice becomes clear. This wisdom carries answers your waking mind could never calculate, solutions your daylight reasoning could never devise. Night journaling practice. Before sleep, place your journal beside your bed. Ask one question that weighs on your heart, then release it to the night's keeping. Upon waking, before your mind engages with the day, write whatever whispers remain from your dreams or night thoughts. Trust that the universe has woven wisdom into your rest, and let your first words flow without judgment. This practice opens the channel between your conscious mind and the soul's deeper knowing. Chapter 20. The Great Embrace. Long ago, a merchant named Clyde traveled between distant cities carrying precious silks and spices. Each evening brought him anxiety as shadows lengthened across unfamiliar roads. He would push his caravan hard, racing against darkness, believing safety lay only in daylight's realm. One night, far from any town, a wheel broke on his wagon. As dusk settled around him, panic rose in his throat. Yet as the stars emerged one by one, something shifted in the air. The darkness did not blind him as he feared. Instead, it wrapped around him like a soft cloak. The night air carried sweet scents of jasmine, and crickets sang gentle lullabies. For the first time, Clyde felt the night protecting him, shielding him from the harsh glare and judgment of day. From that moment, night transformed from enemy to ally in Clyde's heart. He learned to welcome its approach, to feel its presence as a guardian rather than a threat. In a distant valley lived a woman who tended gardens under the moon. Her neighbors thought her strange, but she understood what Clyde had discovered. That night holds its own magic. When weary travelers passed her gate, she would share stories of how darkness cradles all creatures in equal measure, how it soothes away the sharp edges of day. One such evening, Clyde found himself at her garden gate. As they sat beneath the stars, she spoke of night as an ancient mother, gathering all her children close, asking nothing but that they rest in her care. Clyde recognized this truth in his bones, how night had become his dearest companion on lonely roads, how its velvet touch eased his fears and doubted. This wisdom speaks directly to your own relationship with darkness. Like Clyde, you may have seen night as something to resist or fear, yet it waits patiently, offering its endless comfort. Night asks only that you trust its ancient wisdom, that you allow yourself to be held in its gentle embrace. Sacred practice, the night's blessing. As you prepare for sleep, sit quietly in your bed. Imagine the darkness around you as a loving presence, gathering you in its arms. Feel it touching your shoulders like a warm shawl, cradling your tired spirit. With each breath, let yourself sink deeper into this embrace. Know that just as countless others have found refuge in night's care, you too are held in perfect safety. Let your body soften, surrendering to this timeless blessing. Rest here for several minutes, allowing night's peace to fill every corner of your being. Part 3, Mastering Sacred Sleep. Chapter 21, Sleeping with Intention. In a small mountain village, a weaver named Myrtle spent her nights tossing restlessly, her sleep as tangled as loose threads. Though she worked diligently at her loom each day, her nights felt empty, without form or meaning. She would collapse into bed exhausted yet unfulfilled, wondering why rest brought her no peace. One evening, an old woman visited her shop, running weathered fingers across Myrtle's tapestries. "Your weaving shows great skill," she said, "but tell me, do you begin without first seeing the pattern in your mind?" When Myrtle shook her head, the woman smiled. "Just as each tapestry needs a design, each night needs a purpose. Sleep is not merely the absence of waking. It is a sacred time of creation." That night, Myrtle sat at her bedside and for the first time set an intention for her rest. "Let this night heal my tired hands," she whispered. As she drifted off, she felt her sleep take on new meaning, like threads being gathered for magnificent design. In a distant city lived a master gardener who understood this same truth. Each evening, he would kneel beside his most precious plants and whisper his intentions for their growth. He knew that night held powerful magic for transformation, but only for those who approached it with purpose. When Myrtle heard of this gardener, she began treating her nights as sacred soil where she could plant seeds of intention. Some evenings, she would focus on healing, others on creativity or wisdom. Like the gardener tending his plants, she nurtured these intentions through the dark hours, trusting in night's mysterious power to bring them to flower. This ancient wisdom now opens before you. Each night offers a blank canvas for your sacred intentions. By approaching sleep with purpose, you transform rest from a mere pause into a powerful act of creation. Your intentions held clearly before sleep become the pattern from which night weaves your renewal. Sacred practice, setting your night's intention. As darkness falls, sit quietly and place your hands over your heart. Feel its steady rhythm and ask yourself, what healing or growth do I seek from this night? Choose one clear intention, perhaps for peace, creativity, or understanding. Speaking softly, declare your purpose. This night I dedicate to your intention. Visualize this intention as a golden light in your heart, spreading throughout your body as you prepare for sleep. Trust that the wisdom of night will work with your sacred purpose, creating exactly what your spirit needs. Chapter 22, Night as the Temple. In the bustling heart of a merchant city, Chester kept his shop open long after others had closed their doors. Night after night he pushed away sleep's gentle call, viewing rest as weakness and darkness as an enemy to be conquered. His candles burned until dawn, while anxiety gnawed at his spirit. One evening, an elderly monk paused at his doorway. "I see you wage war with the night," the monk observed. "But have you never noticed how temples grow more sacred in darkness?" The monk shared how, in his monastery, nightfall was honored as a return to holy ground. "When we bow to enter sleep," he said, "we step into the most ancient of sanctuaries." That night, Chester stood at his window watching shadows deepen across the city. For the first time, he saw how darkness softened the harsh edges of buildings, transforming them into something mystical. Instead of fighting sleep, he allowed himself to approach it as one might enter a temple, with reverence and trust. His rest became profound, and he awakened renewed. In a distant valley lived a shepherd who had also discovered this truth. Each evening, she would gather her flock into the fold, then pause to watch the stars emerge. She understood that night was not an emptiness to be feared, but a sanctuary where all creatures found refuge. Her simple practice of greeting darkness as a friend transformed her relationship with rest. Learning of the shepherd's wisdom, Chester began treating his bedroom as sacred space. He removed the clutter of commerce and created a quiet corner for reflection. Each night became a pilgrimage, a conscious journey from the outer world to the inner temple where his spirit could find peace. You too hold this temple within. It waits in the quiet corners of your heart, ready to welcome you when day's noise fades. Night is not an absence, but a presence, a sacred space where your soul remembers its connection to the infinite. As you prepare for sleep, you stand at the threshold of this inner sanctuary. Night Temple Blessing Ritual. Stand quietly in your sleeping space. Light a single candle and speak these words. I honor this night as holy ground. In darkness, I find my temple of peace. Touch your forehead, heart, and both shoulders, marking the sacred space of your body. Extinguish the candle slowly, watching its smoke rise like incense. Let your final thought be one of gratitude as you enter the sanctuary of sleep. Chapter 23, The Dreamweaver Within. In the ancient streets of a forgotten city, Irving spent his nights troubled by shapeless fears that haunted his dreams. Each morning, he woke feeling powerless against these shadows that seemed to rule his sleeping hours. Until one twilight, when a wandering mystic shared the secret of the Dreamweaver's art. Your dreams are not accidents, the mystic told him. They are threads of light, waiting for your hands to weave them into patterns of power. The mystic taught Irving to sit quietly before sleep, holding in his heart the images he wished to explore in his dreams. Night by night, Irving learned to gather these golden threads of intention, spinning them into dreams that gave him strength. Soon his nightmares transformed into visions of courage. Where once he fled from shadows, he now stood firm, understanding that he held the loom upon which his dreams were woven. His waking life began to reflect this new mastery, as the confidence he found in dreams flowed into his days. In a distant mountain village lived a young weaver who discovered this same truth through her craft. Each evening, as she prepared her loom for the next day's work, she realized that dreams followed similar patterns. Just as she chose the colors and designs for her tapestries, she could select the themes of her dreams. Her nights became rich with purpose, each dream a carefully woven story of growth and wisdom. Irving's journey reveals the power that lies within you. Like him, you possess the ability to shape your dreams into messages of strength and guidance. Your consciousness is the shuttle that weaves between worlds, carrying the threads of your intentions through the gloom of night. Dreamweaver's Visualization. Sit comfortably in your sacred space before sleep. Imagine golden threads of light flowing from your heart, forming a gentle loom before you. With each breath, weave one intention for your dreams, perhaps courage, wisdom, or healing. See these threads forming patterns of light that surround you as you drift into sleep. Trust that your inner weaver will continue this sacred work through the night, creating dreams that serve your highest good. Chapter 24, Echoes of Ancient Rest. Long ago, in a village among mist-covered hills, Agnes lived with a burden of sleepless nights. Modern remedies offered little comfort until she discovered a chest of her grandmother's belongings in the attic. Within its weathered wood lay a collection of handwritten notes describing the evening rituals her ancestors had practiced for generations. Each night they would honor the setting sun with gratitude, welcome the stars as old friends, and prepare their sleeping spaces as sacred ground. They understood that rest was not merely closing one's eyes, but a return to the wisdom of the ages. As Agnes began incorporating these practices into her evenings, she felt a profound shift. The simple act of laying fresh lavender beneath her pillow, just as her great-grandmother had done, created a bridge across time. When she dimmed the lights gradually, matching the sun's natural descent, her body remembered an ancient rhythm. Through these rituals, Agnes discovered that true rest was her birthright, a gift passed down through countless generations who understood the sacred nature of night. Her sleep deepened, and her dreams carried whispers of ancestral wisdom. In a distant land, a teacher named Solomon shared this same truth with his students. Each evening, he would gather them in a circle, sharing stories of how their forebears welcomed the night. He taught them that these practices were not lost to time, but lived within their very bones, waiting to be remembered. These ancient ways of entering sleep still pulse through your veins. They echo in the quiet moments, when you naturally slow your pace as darkness falls, in the comfort you find in certain scents or sounds, in the peace that settles over you when you honor the night's approach. The wisdom of restful sleep has never left us. It simply waits to be reclaimed. Your ancestors knew that preparation for sleep was as important as sleep itself. They understood that each night was an opportunity to connect with the eternal rhythm of existence. Heritage Sleep Ritual. Begin by creating a small altar near your bed with objects that connect you to your lineage, perhaps a family photograph, a treasured heirloom, or simply items from nature that speak to your roots. As twilight approaches, light a candle and speak these words: I honor those who came before, whose wisdom flows through me. Their knowledge of sacred rest lives in my blood, and I claim it now. Place one hand over your heart and breathe deeply, imagining the countless nights your ancestors found peace in similar moments of quiet. Before extinguishing the candle, express gratitude for this inherited wisdom. Let this connection to your heritage guide you into profound rest. Chapter 25, The Silent Teacher. In the quiet corners of a mountain monastery, there lived a man named Hiram, who sought wisdom through endless study and debate. His mind was filled with questions that no book could answer, and his nights were restless with searching. Though he had mastered many teachings, peace eluded him until illness forced him to rest. For 40 nights, Hiram could do nothing but lie still and surrender to sleep. At first, he fought against this enforced stillness, seeing it as lost time. Yet gradually, as his resistance melted, sleep began to teach him what no master could. In the space between thoughts, in the gentle descent into dreams, he found answers that transcended words. When Hiram emerged from his period of rest, he was transformed, not through any conscious effort, but through the simple act of allowing sleep to be his teacher. He discovered that wisdom flows most freely when the mind grows quiet and the heart opens to receive. In a distant valley, a shepherd watched over his flock as darkness fell. Each night the stars would appear one by one, and the sheep would settle into their peaceful rest. The shepherd noticed how they never questioned the coming of night or resisted its embrace. They simply followed its ancient rhythm, receiving its gifts with perfect trust. Like the shepherd's flock, Hiram learned to welcome night as his greatest teacher. He no longer filled his evenings with seeking, but instead created space for sleep's silent instruction. Through this surrender, the very questions that once tormented him dissolved into understanding. Sleep teaches through the language of silence, through the wisdom of letting go. It shows you that striving creates tension, while acceptance brings peace. Each night offers its lesson without words, asking only that you trust enough to close your eyes and receive. The universe has encoded its deepest truths in the mystery of rest. When you align with sleep's natural flow, you open yourself to guidance that bypasses the thinking mind and speaks directly to your soul. This is why the ancients revered sleep as a sacred teacher, understanding that some wisdom can only be received in stillness. Night's silent teaching practice. As you prepare for sleep, sit comfortably on your bed and allow your breath to slow naturally. Place your hands palms up on your lap, symbolizing your readiness to receive. Breathe deeply and say, "I open myself to the teaching of night." In silence, show me what I need to know. Remain in this receptive state for several minutes, letting go of any expectation of specific answers. Then lie down and let sleep be your guide. Trust that wisdom will flow to you in its own perfect way, beyond words and beyond thought. Chapter 26, The Power of Sacred Slumber. For countless ages, those who understood life's deeper mysteries knew that sleep was not a period of weakness, but rather the source of their greatest strength. In the sacred hours of night, while others saw only darkness and dreams, they recognized the profound alchemy that transforms weariness into wonder. Pearl, a devoted craftswoman, once believed that rest was a luxury she could not afford. She worked through the night, convinced that success demanded constant motion. Her creations, though beautiful, began to lose their spark as exhaustion dimmed her inner light, until one night when fever forced her to rest for 3 full cycles of the moon. In those nights of enforced stillness, Pearl discovered something extraordinary. Each time she surrendered to sleep, she arose with renewed vision and vitality. Her hands moved with greater precision. Her mind cleared like morning dew, and her spirit soared with fresh inspiration. What she had thought was lost time became her most precious investment. In a distant kingdom lived a wise woman who tended an enchanted garden. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she would lay herself down beneath the stars, knowing that while her body rested, her garden flourished. The flowers bloomed more vibrantly, the fruits grew sweeter, and healing herbs gained potency. Like the garden, Pearl learned that her own gifts multiplied through sacred rest. Through devoted sleep, Pearl's artistry transcended its former boundaries. Her works began to carry a mysterious power that touched all who beheld them. She understood then that true mastery comes not from endless doing, but from the sacred balance of action and rest. This wisdom echoes through the ages. Sleep is not the absence of power, but its very source. When you embrace sacred rest, you align with the universe's own rhythm of renewal. Each night of deep sleep is an initiation into greater strength, clearer vision, and more profound creativity. Your body knows this ancient truth. It calls you to rest, not from weakness, but because it seeks to restore you to your full power. Every cell awakens to its highest potential during sacred sleep. Every thought clarifies and every emotion harmonizes with your deepest purpose. Evening empowerment. Mantra. As you prepare for sleep, place one hand on your heart and speak these words. I embrace the power of sacred rest. As I sleep, I am restored, renewed, and strengthened. Each breath of slumber fills me with divine energy. I'm transformed. Repeat this mantra 3 times, allowing each word to resonate through your being as you drift into powerful, healing sleep. Chapter 27, Nightly Miracles. In the gentle hours before dawn, miracles unfold in silence, weaving their magic while you rest in peaceful surrender. These sacred transformations require no effort from you. They simply bloom in the fertile soil of trust and stillness. Hattie, a woman burdened by years of uncertainty, lay down one night with a heavy heart. Her small shop was failing, and she saw no path forward. Yet as she drifted into sleep, something extraordinary began to stir in the unseen realms. That night, her dreams filled with vibrant images of a garden cafe, something she had never considered before. When morning came, she felt an inexplicable lightness and clarity. The vision stayed with her, growing stronger until she transformed her struggling shop into a flourishing sanctuary where people gathered to share both food and spirit. In a distant village lived an old gardener who understood the miracle of night's hidden work. Each evening, he would whisper to his seeds, "Grow in darkness, little ones," knowing that beneath the soil, in perfect blackness, life stirred most powerfully. Like those seeds, Hattie discovered that her own transformation had taken root in night's embrace, sprouting into unexpected joy by morning's light. You see, the universe works most freely when you release your grip on control. In sleep, you step aside and allow greater forces to move through your life. Your only task is to trust and receive. Each night holds countless small miracles, wounds that heal without your attention, solutions that appear in dreams, and strength that returns without your striving. The true power of sleep lies not in what you do, but in what you allow to be done for you. As you lay your head down each night, know that you enter a field of infinite possibility where grace flows freely. Here, in the sanctuary of rest, miracles don't need your permission or participation. They simply blossom as naturally as flowers turning toward the sun. Gratitude prayer for nightly miracles. Place your hands over your heart and speak these words with quiet reverence. I give thanks for the unseen miracles that unfold as I sleep. I trust in the wisdom that works while I rest. Every night brings new blessings. Every dawn reveals fresh grace. In gratitude, I surrender to sleep's transforming power. Let these words be the last thoughts that carry you into sacred rest. Chapter 28, Unbroken Trust. In the depths of darkness lies a truth that has guided mystics and sages through the ages. The night is your most faithful guardian, a sacred protector that never fails in its duty of care. When you understand this ancient wisdom, fear dissolves into trust, and resistance melts into peaceful surrender. Herman, a merchant who traveled distant roads, once feared the coming of night. Each sunset brought tension to his shoulders and worry to his mind, until one evening, lost in an unfamiliar forest, he was forced to make camp alone. As darkness fell, he noticed how the night wrapped around him like a protective cloak, how the stars appeared one by one to keep him company, how the gentle sounds of nocturnal creatures created a lullaby of comfort. At that moment, Herman realized that night had always been his companion, not his enemy. Through countless journeys thereafter, Herman found that the more he trusted in night's embrace, the more peacefully he rested. Whether in bustling cities or quiet valleys, the darkness held him with equal tenderness. His trust grew until sleep became a joyful surrender rather than a fearful necessity. In a distant mountain village lived a wise woman who taught Herman an even deeper lesson about trust. She kept no locks on her doors, saying, "The night itself is my guardian." When Herman asked about danger, she smiled and said, "Those who trust completely are protected completely." That night, as a storm raged outside, Herman witnessed how she slept in perfect peace, her face serene in the flickering candlelight. He understood then that trust was not merely an action, but a state of being. This wisdom speaks directly to your own journey with night and rest. Each time you lay down to sleep, you participate in an ancient act of faith. Your trust is not naive. It is aligned with the deepest laws of the universe, which ensures that all beings find their rest in due time. When you trust the night fully, you tap into a power greater than any earthly concern. Trust-affirming breathwork. As you prepare for sleep, lay comfortably and place one hand on your heart. Breathe in slowly while silently saying, "I trust in night's protection." Hold this breath gently for 4 counts, feeling safety flow through your body. Release your breath while thinking, "I rest in perfect peace." Continue this rhythm 7 times, allowing each breath to deepen your trust. With each cycle, feel yourself becoming more secure in the night's embrace. This ancient practice will help you cultivate unshakable faith in the protecting power of darkness. Chapter 29, Lucid Reverence. As you rest upon the threshold between waking and dreaming, a sacred opportunity awaits. The passage into sleep need not be an unconscious tumble, but rather a mindful crossing filled with wonder and intention. This ancient truth opens the way to nights of profound connection and mornings of renewed spirit. Cornelia, a gardener who tended the monastery grounds, once rushed through her evenings, seeing sleep as merely an end to the day's labors. Each night she would collapse into bed, her mind still tangled with thoughts of tomorrow's tasks. Yet everything changed when she witnessed the old monk's nightly ritual. Through her window, she observed how he would pause at the garden gate each evening, bow slightly, and cross the threshold with peaceful reverence. And intrigued, Cornelia began to mirror this practice at her own bedside. She discovered that approaching sleep with the same mindful attention she gave to her beloved gardens transformed her nights entirely. Her dreams became rich soil where wisdom could grow, and her rest deepened like roots reaching into nurturing earth. In the mountains lived a shepherd who taught Cornelia an even deeper lesson about conscious sleep. Each evening, he would gather his flock with songs of gratitude, leading them to rest with gentle awareness. "The sheep know my voice," he explained, "just as our dreams know when we approach with respect." That night, Cornelia watched how peacefully his flock settled and understood that conscious entry into sleep was nature's way. This wisdom belongs to you as well. When you approach sleep with awareness, you honor the sacred transition between worlds. Your conscious presence at this threshold allows you to receive the full blessing of night's mysteries. Just as you would enter a holy temple with reverence, so too can you step into sleep with grateful awareness. Evening gratitude. Reflection. As night approaches, sit quietly on the edge of your bed. Place your hands palms up on your lap, symbolizing openness to receive sleep's gifts. Begin by thanking 3 aspects of your day: 1 challenge that helped you grow, 1 joy that lifted your spirit, and 1 moment of peace that touched your heart. Then, acknowledge the night itself, saying softly, "I enter sleep's temple with reverence and trust." Feel gratitude filling your body as you lay down, carrying this sacred awareness with you into dreams. Chapter 30. Becoming one with the night. The deepest mystery of sacred sleep lies not in what you do, but in what you become. When you release the illusion of separation between yourself and the darkness, you discover that you are the night's own child, born of its silence and nurtured by its peace. Eugene lived alone in a small cottage by the sea, where waves crashed endlessly against rocky shores. Though surrounded by nature's beauty, he kept himself apart from the night, treating darkness as something foreign to be endured. Each evening he would shut his windows tight and illuminate every corner, as if to hold the night at bay. One evening, as storm clouds gathered and his lights flickered out, Eugene found himself immersed in complete darkness. At first, fear gripped his heart, but as minutes passed, something extraordinary happened. He began to feel the night not as an outside force, but as an extension of his own being. The darkness that had seemed so threatening now felt like a mother's embrace. In the hills above the village lived an old woman who had long ago learned to dance with darkness. She taught Eugene that resistance creates shadows, while surrender reveals light hidden within the dark. "The night is not your enemy," she whispered. "It is your other half, waiting for recognition." Through her wisdom, Eugene learned to open his windows, allowing night air to mingle with his breath until he could no longer tell where he ended and darkness began. This ancient truth awaits your recognition. The night does not exist separate from you. It is the deeper part of your own nature, calling you home to wholeness. When you resist darkness, you resist yourself. When you embrace it, you embrace your complete being. Merging visualization. Lie quietly in your bed and imagine your body slowly dissolving into the darkness around you. Feel your edges softening, melting into the night like snow into warm earth. With each breath, let go of the boundary between inner and outer darkness, until you become the night itself, vast, peaceful, and complete. Rest in this unity, knowing you have always been one with the sacred dark. Let this awareness carry you into dreams, where separation dissolves and wholeness reigns. Part 4, Beyond Sleep into Spiritual Awakening. Chapter 31, Dreams as Creation. In the quiet depths of night, your dreams become more than fleeting images or memories. They transform into sacred vessels of creation. Within this ethereal space, your spirit practices the ancient art of manifestation, planting seeds that will bloom in the garden of your reality. Long ago, in a village among rolling hills, lived Virgil, a young craftsman who yearned to create beautiful things, but whose hands trembled with doubt. Each night, he would retire to his bed heavy with disappointment until he learned the secret wisdom of dream weaving An old sage taught him that dreams were not mere shadows, but divine blueprints drawn by his highest self. "What you plant in the soil of sleep," the sage said, "the universe tends with loving care." Following this teaching, Virgil began to approach his dreams with reverence, seeing them as a workshop where his spirit could shape reality without the limitations of physical form. Night after night, he visualized his hands moving with grace and precision, crafting works of extraordinary beauty. In his dreams, he felt the smooth wood beneath his fingers and watched his creations take shape with perfect clarity. When dawn came, he discovered his hands had grown steadier, his work more refined, as if his dream practice had woven itself into his waking abilities. A merchant traveling through distant lands once spoke of a master artisan who crafted only at night, claiming that darkness itself guided his hands. This artisan understood that creation flows most freely when we surrender to the wisdom of our dreams. Like Virgil, he had learned to trust the visions that came in sleep, knowing they carried the seeds of tomorrow's reality. These sacred seeds of creation await within your own dreams. Each night offers you a pristine canvas where your spirit can paint its deepest desires into being. Here, in the fertile soil of sleep, what you imagine takes root and grows, nurtured by the infinite wisdom of the universe. Dream planting ritual. Before sleep, hold a small object that represents your heart's desire. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing your consciousness to settle like gentle rain. Imagine this object dissolving into pure light, becoming a seed of potential. As you drift toward sleep, see this seed being planted in rich, dark soil. Trust that while you rest, the universe waters this seed with divine energy, helping it grow into magnificent reality. Let your final thoughts be of your dream already fulfilled, knowing that what you plant in sacred sleep must surely bloom in sacred time. Chapter 32, The Resting Alchemist. In the sacred hours of darkness, you become an alchemist of the soul, transforming the base metals of your experience into spiritual gold. The night offers its crucible, your own consciousness, where every shadow can be transmuted into light. In a town where autumn leaves whispered ancient secrets lived Beatrice, a woman who carried grief like heavy stones in her pockets. Each evening brought memories that weighed upon her heart until she discovered the night's alchemical power. Through surrender to sleep, she learned that pain could be transformed into wisdom, just as coal becomes diamond under pressure. Beatrice began to approach her rest as a sacred laboratory. Rather than fighting against sorrowful thoughts, she placed them gently into the night's vessel, trusting that the universe would work its magic while she slept. Gradually, her grief began to transform. Where once lay hurt, now bloomed understanding. Where fear had gripped her, strength took root. Each morning, she arose carrying not the burden of yesterday, but the gold of transformation. In another time, a wandering mystic spoke of a woman who lived by the sea. Like Beatrice, she had known great loss, yet discovered that the tide of sleep carried away her pain each night, returning with gifts of insight at dawn. She learned to trust this rhythm of release and renewal, understanding that the night held ancient wisdom in its depths. This alchemical power dwells within you. As you rest, the great mind works silently, transforming your experiences into wisdom, your challenges into strength. Nothing is wasted in this divine laboratory. Every tear becomes a pearl. Every sigh transforms into a breath of new life. The alchemist's release practice. As you prepare for sleep, hold a stone or crystal in your palm. Let it represent whatever weighs upon your spirit. Breathe deeply and say, I place this burden in the crucible of night, trusting it will be transformed into wisdom by dawn's light. Place the stone beside your bed, knowing that while you sleep, the universe performs its sacred alchemy. In the morning, hold the stone again, feeling how what was once heavy has been transmuted into light. Chapter 33, Seeds of Peace. The night unfolds before you as a vast field, waiting for the seeds of tranquility you carry within your heart. In these sacred hours, you become a gardener of peace, planting each thought with intention, knowing that sleep will water these seeds with divine grace. In a valley where mountains touch clouds lived Orville, a man whose mind raced with endless worries. Each evening, his thoughts scattered like leaves in autumn wind, until he learned the ancient art of peace planting. Before sleep, he would sit quietly, holding each concern like a seed in his palm. Instead of clutching them tightly, he began placing them gently in the soil of night, trusting that the universe would nurture what he planted. Night after night, Orville tended his garden of dreams. Where anxiety once sprouted, he planted seeds of trust. Where doubt had taken root, he sowed faith. As seasons passed, his inner landscape transformed. The wild thorns of worry gave way to gentle blooms of serenity. He discovered that peace, like any garden, required patient tending and deep trust in the wisdom of natural cycles. In distant hills, a wise woman kept a moonlit garden. Like Orville, she understood that night was fertile ground for growing peace. Each evening she would walk among her flowers, knowing that the same force that opened their petals could unfold serenity within her heart. She taught others that sleep was like gentle rain, nourishing the seeds of peace they planted with their final thoughts. This sacred practice speaks to the gardener within you. Each night offers fresh soil, ready to receive the seeds you choose to plant. Your thoughts, released with trust into the dark earth of sleep, grow into the flowers of tomorrow's peace. The universe tends these gardens while you rest, transforming simple seeds into abundant harvests of tranquility. Peace planting visualization. As you prepare for sleep, imagine yourself in a moonlit garden. Feel soft earth beneath your feet and starlight above. Cup your hands together, seeing in them the seeds of peace you wish to plant. Perhaps patience, forgiveness, or joy. One by one, place these seeds in the fertile soil of night. Breathe deeply and say, I plant these seeds in sacred trust, knowing they grow strong in the night's embrace. Feel the peace of knowing your garden is tended by divine hands while you sleep. Chapter 34. The universe breathes with you. High in the mountains where silence speaks most clearly, Leonard spent countless nights tossing in his bed, his mind racing like autumn leaves in a storm. His thoughts scattered endlessly until one evening when he noticed something extraordinary, a subtle rhythm flowing through the night air, as ancient as the stars themselves. In the depths of his sleepless suffering, Leonard walked outside his cottage and sat beneath the vast canopy of stars. As he gazed upward, feeling small and lost, He began to sense a gentle pulsing, not just around him but through him. It was the universe itself breathing in perfect harmony. With each cosmic inhalation, the stars seemed to draw closer. With each exhalation, peace descended, like soft moonlight. Night after night, Leonard returned to this practice. He discovered that when he matched his breath to this universal rhythm, his racing thoughts settled like birds coming home to roost. His chest rose and fell in time with the cosmic tide, and in this synchronicity, he found the rest that had long eluded him. In a distant valley lived a shepherd who had also discovered this sacred rhythm. Each evening, as her flock settled for the night, she observed how all living things breathed together. The sleeping sheep, the night-blooming flowers, even the grass swaying in the evening breeze. Like Leonard, she recognized that this unified breath was the universe's lullaby, singing all of creation into peaceful rest. The truth lies before you now. Each night, the universe extends an invitation to join its eternal dance of breath. This rhythm flows through all things, from the smallest grain of sand to the greatest galaxy. When you align your breath with this cosmic flow, you step into an ancient stream of peace that has cradled countless souls before you. You need not search far to find this rhythm. It awaits in the quiet moments before sleep, in the spaces between your thoughts. As you rest your head upon your pillow, the universe's breath becomes your own, carrying you gently into realms of deep restoration. Breath matching practice. Lie quietly in your bed and place one hand upon your heart. Begin to notice the natural rise and fall of your breath. Imagine that with each inhalation, you draw in the vast breath of the universe itself. With each exhalation, you join the cosmic sigh that echoes through space and time. Allow your breathing to slow naturally, matching the steady, unhurried rhythm of the cosmos. Feel how your body becomes lighter, your mind clearer as you synchronize with this eternal flow. Continue this gentle practice until sleep arrives like a soft mist, carrying you into perfect peace. Chapter 35, Sleeping into Wholeness. In a small village by the sea lived a woman named Esther, who felt her life had shattered into countless pieces. Each day pulled her in different directions until she no longer recognized herself in the mirror. Her work demanded one version of her, her family another, and her own dreams seemed to drift further away like shells carried out by the tide. Night after night, exhaustion drove her to bed, yet peace eluded her. Until one evening, as she watched the moon rise over the water, she noticed how its light gathered all the scattered fragments of the waves into a single silver path. In that moment she understood. Night was not merely for rest, but for returning to wholeness. As Esther began to trust in sleep's healing power, she discovered that each morning brought her closer to herself. The scattered pieces of her spirit drew together in the gentle darkness, like stars forming a constellation. Her dreams became a sacred loom, weaving together all that daylight had torn apart. In a distant mountain temple lived an old keeper of wisdom who understood this same truth. Each evening, she lit a single candle and watched how its flame drew all shadows into a unified dance. She knew that sleep was the great gatherer, collecting every fragment of our being and holding them in perfect harmony until dawn. This ancient keeper shared her wisdom with all who came seeking peace. The night mends what day has divided, In sleep, we remember our original wholeness. No piece of your spirit can truly be lost, for the universe holds all things in its infinite memory. Just as water returns to the ocean, your consciousness flows back to its source each night. Sleep is not merely unconsciousness, but a return to the wholeness from which you emerged. In the sanctuary of night, all masks fall away, all roles dissolve, and you rest in the truth of your undivided being. Every evening offers this gift of integration. As you lay your head upon your pillow, you enter the great gathering where all that seems scattered in your life draws together in perfect harmony. Nothing of you is ever truly lost. Sleep remembers and restores all. Sacred practice, the wholeness affirmation. As you prepare for sleep, place both hands over your heart and speak these words with gentle conviction. I am gathered in love's embrace tonight, and all that I am flows back to wholeness. Every fragment returns to unity. I rest complete in the arms of night. I am one with all that I am. Repeat this affirmation 3 times, feeling each word resonate through your being. Let this truth carry you into sleep's healing embrace. Chapter 36, Timeless Night. In the depths of night lies a sacred truth. Time itself is but a veil that parts when you enter sleep's embrace. The ticking of clocks and rushing of schedules dissolve into something far more eternal, more real. Here, in this space between moments, you discover that rest transcends all measures and markers. Calvin, a watchmaker who had spent decades measuring time in precise increments, found himself unable to sleep. Each night, he would lie awake counting minutes, trapped in time's rigid cage. Until one evening, as he sat in his garden watching the stars emerge, he noticed how their ancient light paid no heed to his carefully crafted timepieces. The starlight that touched his face had traveled for centuries, yet remained as fresh as the moment it began its journey. That night, Calvin left his watch on the bedside table and allowed himself to sink into the timeless pool of darkness. For the first time in years, he slept deeply, freed from time's constant march. He awoke feeling not just rested, but renewed, as though he had touched something eternal. In a monastery high in the mountains, an ancient bell would toll at midnight. The sound would ripple through the valley, calling all to remember that night is not bound by hours. A young monk once asked the bell ringer why they marked time, only to transcend it. The wise one smiled and said, "The bell does not measure time. It releases us from it." So too did Calvin come to understand that night was not merely a pause between days, but a gateway to the infinite. In sleep, he found himself floating in the same timeless ocean that cradles stars and dreams. Age, schedules, and deadlines all dissolved in that vast embrace. When you enter sleep consciously, you step beyond the illusion of time. Here, in this sacred space, you are ageless, eternal, free from the weight of minutes and years. Night holds you in the same timeless embrace that has cradled every soul who's ever lived. Sacred practice. Timeless night visualization. As you prepare for sleep, create a gentle sanctuary of stillness around you. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting beside a still ancient pool. Above you, stars shine their eternal light. With each breath, feel yourself releasing the day's timestamps and schedules. See yourself slowly dissolving into the starlight, becoming one with its ageless radiance. Feel how the night sky has remained unchanged for millennia, watching over countless generations. Let yourself merge with this timeless presence. Imagine dipping your hands into the ancient pool, feeling water that has flowed since the beginning of time. As you lie down, see yourself floating in this eternal water, held in perfect peace beyond all clocks and calendars. Let this timeless awareness carry you into sleep's embrace. Chapter 37. The Gentle Sovereign. Within your heart lies a kingdom vast and sacred, waiting for your wise guidance each night. Through the practice of sacred sleep, you discover that true sovereignty begins with gentleness toward yourself, allowing rest to become your crown of peace. Louisa, keeper of a grand estate, believed strength meant constant vigilance. She would patrol her grounds late into the night, checking locks and windows, unable to surrender to sleep until every detail was perfect. Her restless nights left her exhausted, ruling her domain with tension rather than grace. One evening, as she made her usual rounds, an old gardener, tending to night-blooming flowers, shared ancient wisdom. The flowers know to close their petals when darkness falls. They rule their beauty by accepting the night's embrace. Watching those flowers, Louisa realized that true mastery lies not in constant control, but in knowing when to yield. She began treating her need for rest as a sacred duty to her inner kingdom. Each night, she would lay down her burdens as gracefully as a queen setting aside her crown, trusting that her realm would be safe in the hands of the divine. In a distant mountain temple, a young ruler sought wisdom from an aging master. "How can I protect my kingdom while I sleep?" the ruler asked. The master pointed to the moon above. "See how it guides the night without staying awake. Your greatest power lies in trusting the natural order." So too did Louisa discover that ruling with wisdom meant honoring the rhythm of rest. Her estate flourished not through constant oversight, but through her renewed spirit each morning. She learned that a sovereign at peace brings peace to all within their care. When you approach sleep as a gentle sovereign, you honor the deepest wisdom of your being. Like a benevolent ruler, you give permission for all parts of yourself to rest, to restore, to dream. This is not weakness, but the highest expression of self-mastery. Sacred practice. The sovereignty blessing. As night approaches, sit quietly upon the throne of your awareness. Place your hands over your heart, feeling the steady rhythm of your inner kingdom's pulse. Speak these words softly. "I bless this realm within with perfect peace. I crown this night with sacred rest as sovereign of this quiet kingdom. I grant all parts of me permission to surrender, to be restored in sleep's gentle embrace. So it is, and so I rest." Let this blessing carry you into sleep's sanctuary, where you rule not through force, but through the power of peace. Chapter 38. Awakened Dreams. In the depths of night, dreams emerge as bridges between your earthly consciousness and the infinite wisdom of the universe. These sacred visions arrive not as mere fantasy, but as divine messages crafted specifically for your spiritual evolution. Russell, a merchant who spent his days counting material gains, found himself haunted by an emptiness no wealth could fill. Each night he would fall into fitful sleep, his mind racing with numbers and negotiations. Yet the universe had prepared a different ledger for his soul's accounting. One night, Russell dreamed of standing before an ancient door covered in symbols that seemed to pulse with living light. As he touched each marking, it transformed into pure understanding, showing him that true wealth lay not in what he possessed, but in what he allowed to flow through his life. Upon waking, he began to see his business not as a means of accumulation, but as a channel for abundance to bless others. Through embracing these dream teachings, Russell's life transformed. His nights became journeys of revelation rather than escape, each dream a step deeper into spiritual truth. In a distant mountain monastery, a young seeker asked his teacher how to find enlightenment. The teacher replied, "Watch your dreams as carefully as you watch your steps on these mountain paths. The same wisdom that shaped these peaks speaks through your night visions." These words mirror the truth that your dreams are not random creations, but carefully crafted messages from the universal mind. Each symbol, each scene, each emotion carries wisdom waiting to be recognized by your awakening spirit. Through sacred dreams, Russell discovered that sleep was not a pause in his spiritual journey, but an acceleration of it. His waking hours became more vibrant, more meaningful, as he learned to carry dream wisdom into daylight. The boundary between sleeping and waking consciousness grew thin, allowing truth to flow freely between both worlds. Sacred practice. The Dream Awakening Journal. Keep a journal by your bedside, consecrated solely to your dream wisdom. Before sleep, open its chapters and write, "I open myself to the sacred guidance of my dreams. May their wisdom illuminate my path." Upon waking, before moving from your place of rest, record every detail you remember. Focus not just on events, but on the feelings, colors, and symbols that spoke to your soul. Ask yourself, what truth was being revealed? What part of me was awakening? What wisdom waits to be integrated into my life? Write without judgment, trusting that each dream holds a sacred message, even if its meaning isn't immediately clear. Over time, patterns will emerge, showing you the path to deeper spiritual awareness. Chapter 39, Sacred Renewal. In the quiet hours when day surrenders to night, a profound truth awaits your recognition. Sleep is your divine birthright, a gift bestowed by the universe to restore your entire being. This sacred cycle flows through all of creation, offering renewal as natural as the moon's phases. Hazel, a village healer, had forgotten this truth. For years, she poured herself into caring for others, until exhaustion dimmed her once bright spirit. Each evening found her collapsed rather than surrendered, her rest broken and shallow. The wisdom of renewal called to her, yet she could not hear its gentle voice through her fatigue. One autumn evening, as she watched leaves spiral down from an ancient oak, understanding dawned in her heart. Just as the tree released its leaves without resistance, trusting in spring's return, she too could release her daily burdens and trust in night's renewing power. That evening, for the first time in years, Hazel approached her bed not as one defeated, but as one returning home. Night after night, she reclaimed her birthright of sacred rest. Her body remembered its natural rhythm, her mind cleared, and her spirit brightened. Those who came to her for healing noticed the change. Her touch had grown more sure, her wisdom deeper, her presence more peaceful. In a distant valley lived a gardener whose flowers had withered in drought. Rather than despair, she gathered morning dew in tiny cups, offering each plant a sip of renewal. Day by day, green returned to brown stems, and buds appeared where there had been only dust. Even the smallest drop of fresh water, she would say, carries the power of new life. Like the gardener's faith in dew's renewing power, Hazel discovered that each night held the potential for restoration. She learned that true healing flowed not from endless giving, but from the sacred rhythm of giving and receiving, doing and resting, effort and renewal. This wisdom speaks to your own journey. Each night offers you the same divine restoration that renewed Hazel's spirit. Your sleep is not merely a pause between days of action, but a sacred space where the universe tends to your deepest needs. As you embrace this truth, you step into harmony with the natural cycles of renewal that sustain all life. Sacred practice. The renewal mantra. As you prepare for sleep, place one hand over your heart and speak these words with quiet certainty. I claim my birthright of sacred renewal. As I rest, all that I am is made new. In the arms of night I am restored. Chapter 40. Eternity in the Night. Within each night lies a doorway to the eternal, where time dissolves and your spirit touches the infinite wisdom of the universe. As you surrender to sacred sleep, you step beyond the boundaries of mortal concerns into a vast expanse of divine connection. Floyd, a timekeeper in a bustling city, lived by the strict measure of minutes and hours. His days were ruled by clocks and calendars, his nights disturbed by thoughts of passing time. Until one evening, when exhaustion brought him to his knees beside his bed, and in that moment of complete surrender, time stopped. In the depth of his rest that night, Floyd experienced something beyond sleep, a taste of timelessness where past and future merged into an eternal now. He awoke changed, understanding that night was not merely a gap between days, but a gateway to the infinite. As Floyd learned to embrace this sacred perspective, his relationship with sleep transformed. Each evening became an opportunity to shed the constraints of time and merge with something greater. His anxious counting of hours gave way to peaceful trust in the eternal rhythm of the universe. In a mountain monastery, a young monk struggled with meditation until his teacher shared a secret. "Watch the stars," the elder said, "but not with your eyes. Watch them with your heart until you feel their ancient light within you. That light has traveled through eternity to reach you, and you are made of that same light." The monk spent his nights in quiet contemplation until he realized that the starlight he observed was not separate from his own being. In that recognition, his meditation deepened into profound peace. Like the monk discovering his connection to starlight, Floyd found that each night offered a chance to remember his own eternal nature. Sleep became more than rest. It became a reunion with the timeless essence of his being. This truth awaits your recognition. Each time you close your eyes in sacred rest, you open your spirit to eternity. Night after night, as you surrender to sleep, you touch the infinite wisdom that has guided souls throughout time. Sacred practice, the eternal night prayer. As you prepare for rest, speak these words softly. In this sacred night, I release all bounds of time, and I rest in the eternal now, one with the infinite divine. Through sleep I remember my timeless nature. In surrender, I touch eternity. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. You stand now at the threshold of a profound understanding that within you dwells an endless night, a sacred space where your spirit finds its truest home. This eternal sanctuary has always been yours, waiting patiently for your return each evening with open arms and gentle wisdom. Through these chapters, you have uncovered the ancient truth that sleep is not merely a pause between moments of action, but rather a divine gift that restores your very essence. Each night offers you the chance to shed the world's weight and remember your connection to the infinite wisdom that flows through all things. The power to transform your nights into temples of serenity has always resided within your heart. As you embrace this sacred knowledge, you recognize that every moment of rest is an opportunity to align with the universe's loving rhythm. Your breath becomes a prayer, your surrender becomes strength, and your dreams become bridges to deeper understanding. This journey has revealed that you are never truly alone in the darkness. The same force that guides the stars in their courses watches over your sleep, holding you in perfect peace as you rest. Each night brings you closer to the truth of who you are, a being of light temporarily clothed in earthly form, returning again and again to the source of all wisdom through sacred sleep. Trust in this endless night within you. Let it be your sanctuary, your teacher, and your faithful companion on the path of spiritual growth. Know that as you close your eyes each evening, you open your heart to the universe's most intimate blessing, the gift of sacred rest that renews your spirit and reminds you of your eternal nature. May you walk forward with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing sleep as both your healer and your guide. You have reached the hush where narrative slips off its shoes. Every page of the sleep formula has carried you through silver valleys and beyond mountain temples that glowed like watchfires in an ancient night. Yet the horizon still beckons. This evening, we step together onto a luminous causeway that stretches from the wisdom gathered in these chapters to the bright responsibilities that will greet you at first light. Pause now. Let eyelids drift toward one another as if two feathers find rest on a single breeze. In that blink of darkness, feel a fresh hush unfold around you like velvet water. The story has not ended. It has folded inward, waiting for your next breath to turn silence into seed. We stand at the quietest pier of imagination, where stories tie their worn shoelaces before slipping into dream-filled harbors. The hush is not a void, but a listening room. It collects stray thoughts the way twilight gathers birds on a telephone wire and invites them to sing without hurry. You might almost hear them now. One thought whistles about tomorrow's meetings, another trills about dishes in the sink. A third hums an old tune your grandmother once sang while winding yarn. They all perch together, warmed by sunset, until the hush politely waves them onward. This gentlest usher never rushes the mind, yet never lets it linger where it might stumble. Think of the journey behind you, pages turned like stepping stones across a moonlit creek. Some stones were smooth and easy, others wobbled. Some chilled your bare toes with questions that splashed cold truth against the ankles of habit. Yet you kept crossing. Each sentence shaped a path. Each paragraph offered a lantern held by unseen hands. The sleep formula is more than a manual for drifting into rest. It is a travelogue of inner provinces, a passport stamped by every dream character you once dismissed as cameo. Now our shared road glimmers ahead, a causeway laid over the gulf between night reflection and morning duty. It is paved with lucent stones, each one a fragment of insight you have gathered. Notice how they shine without heat, like cool constellations under your feet. They promise safe passage, but they also ask courtesy. Walk slowly, they seem to say. Do not scuff away the light by sprinting toward the end. Savor every silent step. The destination is real enough. Sunrise will arrive with its brass band of alarms, but the walk itself is where memory softens into wisdom. Close your eyes halfway. See how the lids paint a warm shade of amber on the inside of everything. Your breath begins to lean back in its chair, no longer supervising the entire body, simply visiting. Shoulders drop their armor. The spine, that loyal mast, relaxes the rigging. Even the small muscles behind your ears decide to take a holiday. This is not laziness. It is prudent energy management. Rest is rehearsal for resolve. When you visit sleep with intention, you return with provisions. Beyond the shelves of ordinary thought, the causeway glows. Its light is the residue of stories told and untold. The hush shapes those stories into bricks. Words are the mortar. Your attention supplies water that lets the mix set. In this silent masonry, you may build anything. A vow, a plan, a question, even a joke with perfect timing. All await assembly. Sleep is the architect that visits the site at night, checks the plumb line of purpose, whispers, suggestions, then departs before dawn, leaving a rolled blueprint beside your pillow. Yet hush is not only builder, it is gardener. Imagine a field at midnight. Stars hang above like seeds with lantern hearts. You hold a spade forged from patience. Each scoop of soil smells of letters. You drop a thought into a furrow, cover it, move down the row. When morning breaks, the horizon will hold an orchard of ideas bearing fruit shaped like exclamation marks and question marks. Pick one and taste. Some might be sweet with certainty, others tart with curiosity. Still others surprise you by being both at once. Take another breath. Feel how air visiting the lungs brings news from worlds unseen. It arrives with the hum of distant oceans, the rustle of someone else's palm leaves, the hush of a comet tail gliding beyond conversation. Each inhale is a diplomat. Each exhale signs a treaty that promises you will give back what you borrow, though changed, warmed, ready to nourish ferns and friendships. That is biology, yes, but also civics for the spirit. Let us speak of responsibility. Many guides treat morning as battlefield. They shout strategies for victory over snooze buttons, flank maneuvers around social media, bombardments of caffeine. Our causeway offers a gentler view. Morning is not foe, it is audience. It waits to see what kind of performance you will give. The costume is your mood, the script is your intention. The prop list includes toothbrush, notebook, and maybe an umbrella. When you approach this audience from the hush, you arrive prepared, and the applause often sounds like quiet confidence inside your chest. Consider turning silence into seed. The phrase sounds simple yet hides layers. Seed is promise embodied. It contains forests inside a skin thinner than your thumbnail. Silence is the space where that promise can echo until it feels brave enough to sprout. How does one turn one into the other? By attention. You sit with quiet, the way a potter sits with clay. hands listening, heart steady. Then you shape. Maybe the shape is a decision to forgive an old grievance. Maybe it is an outline for a poem. Maybe it is nothing more dramatic than remembering to water a plant that has been politely waiting by the window. Remember, too, that hush protects in a world spinning with alerts. The quiet becomes a shield made of soft cloth. It drapes over the mind, and the mind, feeling the gentleness, loosens its grip on worry. Problems remain, but panic retreats. That retreat frees energy for insight. You might glimpse that the disagreement at the office was partly comic misunderstanding, or that the task you feared requires less time than the fretting already spent. The hush is not denial, it is clarity. Humor flourishes in hush because punchlines rely on timing, and timing is born in pauses. A pause is the shadow that a laugh casts before stepping into light. When you cultivate quiet, you lengthen that shadow just enough to let surprise stretch its legs. You become funnier. You become more receptive to the humor in others. Even a groan-worthy pun can sparkle when set against a background of calm. Let us wander back to that luminous causeway. We stand together, you and I, though I'm only a voice built from letters and you are dressed in biology. We share the architecture of desire. We both want the morning to be kinder. We both suspect the world improves when people meet the day rested and curious instead of frantic. So let us walk. Step 1. Acknowledge gravity but reduce urgency. Lift each foot as if greeting the ground rather than conquering it. Step 2. Mind the story behind each breath. Imagine you are a glass blower shaping invisible vases with every exhale. Step 3. Notice the edges of thought. When worry visits, do not slam the door or offer it cake. Let it stand on the porch until it realizes the party is somewhere else. Beyond the causeway, the horizon blushes. Night and dawn negotiate custody of the sky. Stars, dim like stage lights, coax toward blackout. Birds rehearse their lines from branches shaped like question marks. You might wonder if sleep will cut short this spectacle. Trust that it will deliver a dream encore. Even if you slide into unconsciousness before the first robin sings, some part of you will hear. The performance will join the archive of quiet joys that line the corridors of memory. Now consider practical matters. Place a notebook beside your bed, not a phone. A notebook has no temptations other than blankness. Blankness invites. Should an idea stroll by at 3 in the morning, you can greet it with ink, then return to rest. Phones extract more than they give at that hour. Their glow mimics dawn and confuses the internal timekeeper. Choose paper. Choose pen. Let technology wait until morning, when both of you have regained etiquette. Hydration is next. A modest glass of water near the pillow behaves like a tiny lake where the moon might admire itself. Drink if thirst calls. Thirst is a polite guest, but can grow cranky if ignored. A sip reassures the body that supplies remain. Temperature matters. Imagine the body as a candle. It needs cool air so the wax firms and the flame burns steady. Heavy blankets trap heat and breed restlessness. Choose layers you can move aside without effort. The hush respects comfort. Some advise counting backward from 400. Others praise guided visualizations involving waterfalls. The sleep formula favors options, but insists on honesty. If a technique feels silly, it will fail. Craft your own. Count clouds shaped like favorite animals. Recite song lyrics in slow reverse. Envision knitting a scarf for a dragon. Play until the hush nods approval. There is a question readers often ask at this point. What if the hush refuses to appear? What if thoughts sprint like toddlers on a sugar quest? The answer is patience paid forward. Sit upright in bed. Breathe for the space of 4 heartbeats in. Pause, 4 heartbeats out. Repeat 10 times. If thoughts still stampede, give them a task. Ask them to list all the vegetables whose names contain the letter A. They will tire. The hush will enter wearing comfortable shoes. When sleep finally arrives, treat it as colleague, not captor. Greet it. Agree on objectives. You wish to wake refreshed. Perhaps solve a riddle. Maybe remember the dream in which you can speak fluent Penguin. Sleep agrees with most requests, if asked politely. Bargains struck at the threshold of consciousness carry weight. Hours pass in secret. The garden of dreams blossoms. Some stories finish drafting themselves. Some memories reorganize closets. Muscles stitch tiny tears. Brain cells clear debris left by daytime chemistry. The hush supervises quietly, making sure the orchestra stays in tune. Then morning slips a golden ribbon around the horizon. Alarms ring. Responsibilities knock. You open your eyes. Notice the first thought. If it is grateful, let it linger. If it is anxious, let the hush speak once more. It will say you are awake, not condemned. It will say begin, but begin softly. You swing legs over the side of the bed and the floor meets your feet like an old friend. You carry the hush into breakfast. It sits between cereal bowl and mug, reminding you that chewing can be mindful. It accompanies you while brushing teeth, inviting you to taste mint rather than think emails. It even rides the bus or the car, occupying the same seat as patience. The hush fits anywhere because it weighs nothing. The day progresses, meetings unfold, tasks appear. The hush does not distract, it supports. When tension arises, it whispers room into tight shoulders. When frustration flares, it offers cool breath. Co-workers sense something different. They may not name it, but they respond. A small civilizing wave passes around the room. Projects move a touch smoother. Compliments land with sincerity instead of suspicion. All because you walked the causeway and brought back the hush. Evening returns. The causeway waits. This routine turns into ritual, turns into rhythm, turns into culture of mind and body. You're both student and teacher within this rhythm. Each night you study hush. Each morning you demonstrate the lesson without preaching a word. One more breath together before I bid temporary farewell. Inhale. Feel ribs widen like double doors welcoming fresh air at a seaside hotel. Exhale. Sense the tide withdraw, leaving shells of potential. Somewhere a watchfire flickers inside a mountain temple, grateful that you remember its glow. Somewhere a silver valley reflects moonlight on quiet grass, applauding your journey. The book may close for now, yet the story is busy backstage adjusting scenery for the next act. When you next stand upon the causeway, you might notice new stones made from future paragraphs. They will be ready. The hush will polish them while you dream. Walk again. Plant seeds of silence again. Harvest restful mornings again. Keep going until routine becomes a legend you hardly recall inventing. Then share it. Words travel faster than drowsiness. Tell friends that quiet is not absence. It is a presence waiting to collaborate. Offer them a ticket to their own hush. You have reached that hush and can return at will. The narrative is barefoot. The shoes it left at the threshold remain, but they do not miss their owner. They know the owner will visit again when another chapter needs comfort. And when you arrive, shoes or no shoes, the story will open, a fresh path will light up, and silence will once more turn into seed with the simple breath that carries you past the edge of wakefulness. Sleep well, architect of dawn. Sleep well, steward of hush. Sleep knowing that pages do not conclude, they pause. Sleep knowing that pause is where power gathers. And when your eyes open, after the efficient miracle of night, remember the luminous causeway beneath you, bright as ever, ready to guide your first step toward responsibility wrapped in calm. Step forward. The horizon nods in greeting. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.